there is an extremely high likelihood that a candidate for mayor here in Seattle, Washington, who has zero experience basically at life, 43, gets thousands of dollars from her parents in order to just live in Seattle, and she's got a baby. She's got zero experience in running a business or virtually anything. Got a handful of jobs she's worked at, never more than a year, doesn't have a career, doesn't have anything. But Seattle's probably going to elect her, and she's running on a platform of the Democratic Socialist of America, the exact same thing as Zoran Mandami in New York City. Exact same deal. She's just basically 2.0, and she's probably going to win over an incumbent mayor, Bruce Harrell, who's by and large, this is his fifth campaign. He's been successful. He's done good things for Seattle, but I think it's the younger voters in Seattle are basically going to launch this totally unqualified candidate. We'll just find out what happens. Let's get into it. Here we go. Bruce Harrell and Katie Wilson enter in the home stretch of a surprisingly tight Seattle mayoral race. Progressive activist Katie Wilson. I mean, what could go wrong when you put a progressive activist in charge of a city that has a budget of, $9 billion? She's barely held down a job, let alone ever run a business, and believes in socialism as a construct that's really going to get us from point A to point B. I mean, whew, I hope she wins. I hope she wins because I want to see what happens. Now, any of you who've been around long enough, every 20 years or so, we need to have a handful of these candidates win because what they do is just drive these cities further into the ground than the existing progressives have already done, than Democratic leadership has already done. Look at San Francisco. How's that looking? Well, it's looking better since you've got somewhat of a moderate, but in office, and that is exactly what we're talking about here in Seattle. Things have stabilized. Seattle is in a way better position than Portland. Because Portland's got a bunch of Looney Tunes that have run it, right? You've got shenanigans in Seattle. You got shenanigans in LA. You've got shenanigans in San Francisco. It's inherent with Democrats who run cities, big cities, that are progressive. Oh, this is so progressive. The progressive ideology, housing first, doesn't really work, but let's just go with it. Harm reduction. All harm, no reduction. But let's just keep doing it because, it's what we believe in. The affordability crisis. You have layered so much bureaucratic crap on top of the marketplace that you're driving out businesses, you're driving out people because nobody can afford it. And where are they going? Republican-run cities, Republican-run states, even Republican-run cities that are in Republican states because, as I podcasted yesterday, Austin has a libtard mayor, right? But it's got a Republican governor. Greg Abbott decides, hey, Austin, you're looking really messy. I'm sending in state resources to clean up 48 of your homeless encampments. Meanwhile, you sit around, Mr. Mayor of Austin, with your thumb up your butt going, we don't need your help. Just like Portland does to Trump, basically say, we don't need you to come in here and mess with our, federal ICE building. Meanwhile, Antifa's just having its way. Portland's mayor and Oregon's governor are just lying about conditions. And things are just, not going well. Not going well. So why don't we have a Democratic Socialist of America candidate win? And let's just we'll get out the popcorn and we'll watch it. So Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell likes his chances in a surprisingly competitive re-election battle against challenger Katie Wilson. I don't like his chances. I don't think he will win. He lost by 10 points in the primary. It's like, there's your wake-up call. Now, some would say that this is all pushback on Trump because, these big blue cities, big blue states, they are mentally challenged. You've got a lot of people that suffer from mental illness. One of my podcasts yesterday is Oregon has the worst mental health care of any of the United States in the United States. 30% of adults in Oregon have some kind of mental condition versus the national average of 22, 23%. And Oregon has consistently gone up. That's how you have a lot of blue-haired people going in costume to interfere with law enforcement, working with other law enforcement. That's how you go to these no king protests where clearly there's no king. But for these folks who have mental illness, there's a king in charge. And you're like, you guys are delusional. That's it. Maybe you need to get back on your meds. That's kind of what we're talking about, right? Wilson, the progressive founder of the Transit Riders Union. Sorry, what? Transit Riders Union? Oh, okay, because we care about transit. In Seattle, we really don't. In Washington State, we really don't. West Coast, Best Coast, we don't really give a shit about that kind of thing. It's not a thing. But, you can pretend and, you can have your delusions and captured nearly 51% of the primary vote, while Harrell finished with 41%. I mean, it is shocking. It is shocking. As the top two finishers, both candidates advanced to the general election. I feel pretty good. People have to remember this is my fifth election. It's not my first rodeo. That is what I am afraid about with Harrell's campaign, is complacency. You're up against somebody who's new, that's a socialist. And all the libtards, all the progressives in Seattle, they will come out to support somebody who they're like, yeah, stick it to the man. Stick it to the man. Let's get some of that progressive revenue coming into the city of Seattle. And all that means is you're going to tax big business. And where's big business going to go? Away. What has happened with Amazon in Seattle? Away. Where did they go? Bellevue, right here, where I sit. This is not that hard to track. It's Kshama Sawant. She was our perfect example of a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. She literally pushed Amazon out of Seattle, and they have come in droves to Bellevue. They've got like 4 big buildings going on that they're taking down incredible amounts of space. Bellevue is thriving. Seattle is not, period. And a lot of it has to do with policy pushing out business because you got a bunch of numbnuts who believe in just these shenanigans of ideology, which have never worked. But every 20 years or so, we just got to go through this drill, this fire drill, this drill of all the clowns coming out of the car endlessly. This is the greatest thing ever. And then, hey, wait a minute. Let's look at the stats of the crime is up. Oh, good Lord. Revenue is down. Oh, businesses are leaving. Oh, you got graffiti everywhere. Oh, that's not good. Oh, yeah. Got a whole bunch of prostitution going on. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, people breaking and entering, that's going up. But hey, let's go ahead and listen to the politicians who tell us that crime's down. Things are good. It's all good. All right. Okay. All right. The incumbent mayor has outraised Wilson considerably. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch. Strong parallel. Katie Wilson embraces comparisons to New York City's Zoran Mamdani. New York City has become so expensive because of all the crap that's been layered in there, right? That's how it becomes expensive. It's not just supply and demand. It's layer upon layer upon layer of nonsense that makes everything go up. Taxation. Seattle, Washington State, massive taxation. We are going to experience massive taxation. Businesses that I know of, they're like, wow, we are really getting hit hard by taxes. And it's just how this is going, because how else are you going to pay for all these absolutely numbnut, policies and social programs and just stupid stuff that you don't really need? Oh, I need to do this cap and trade, and it's only going to cost cents on the dollar for, per gallon of gasoline. And then Washington State has some of the most expensive gasoline in the country. Other parts of the country are paying literally half of what I'm paying right now, which is around $5 a gallon. Other parts of the country are paying $250 because you guys let me know on the chats. Every morning, 9 o'clock Seattle time, I'm on a premiere Monday through Friday. I try and attend those premieres. If you want to join the community, you want to see what's going on, you want to send me a message and tell me what you think, I'm typically there. I'm there, 9 o'clock Seattle time at our premiere, which is one of 2 videos that we release Monday through Friday. I sit in on the 9 o'clock one. So if you want to see me, typing in a live chat, welcome to join. That's always a thing. So strong parallel. Yeah, because New York City, super expensive. Seattle, super expensive. Kids can't buy a home here. Kids can't afford to hardly live here. This woman cannot afford to live here. And she's probably going to be our next mayor. And she literally gets $2,200 of healthcare paid for every few months by her parents who live in New York City. She doesn't run a business. She doesn't have a business. She hasn't had a career. She's bounced around in a handful of jobs, and it's made her realize that Seattle is really expensive. And so she would like to run the city based on a platform of Democratic Socialists of America. And the city generation Y and Z and millennials are probably going to elect her. They're probably going to elect her because they don't have the knowledge or experience to really understand what it takes to run a city with a budget of $9 billion. They don't know. They have no idea. No idea. No idea. But hey, she's saying, I can fix this. I can help you out. Things are too expensive. And she's literally running on a platform whose platform implements progressive taxes, government-run grocery stores, and alternatives to police enforcement. Progressive taxes, tax in businesses, tax Amazon. Oh, that's going to work out great. That should be fine. Government-run grocery stores. I'm sorry. What in the F are you talking about? Now, this is one of those things where I just did a podcast on grocery store in Seattle, Lake City. Fred Meyer got shut down because of safety issues and shoplifting. Because Seattle is so progressive, it doesn't really enforce the law. When big corporate looks through their list of grocery stores, when Kroger looks at their list of grocery stores and they say, you know what, we got to cut a bunch of these. We got to cut 1% of our store. Which ones are they going to shut down? The ones that are getting shoplifted and the ones where people are being assaulted. Now is Lake City. So now Mayor Bruce Harrell is stepping in. Wait a minute, folks. We've got a food desert, meaning an area where all the grocery stores have left because they've been robbed blind by the constituents. Yeah, don't go after the criminals. Go after the grocery stores. Now, let's do government grocery stores because that always works out as well too, right? Cuba, right? How's that working out? Not all that well. And alternatives to police enforcement. Did we not see how that went? We are literally living with the after impacts from the pandemic when, defund the police was all the rage for that split second until everybody was brought back to reality with, you know what? That whole communist thing of defund the police, let's take money from the police department and put it into social programs. Yeah, that really backfired on us. But Seattle kids don't care. They're spoiled. They don't understand. They have no basis in reality. They're just kind of floating around going, hey, man, can't really afford to buy a house. Oh, Katie Wilson, she's a socialist. She's going to help me. She's going to bring housing down to an affordable level. How are you going to do that? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when your lot acquisition cost is like $1 million? Doesn't matter what it is. $1 million. Maybe it's 500 for some of these cereal boxes that are in these massively packed in developments. But right out of the chute in a big city like Seattle, you've got a minimum that land acquisition that is already above what most of these kids can afford. And then you got to build it. And then you got soft costs. You got development. You got all that. That's how most of our housing is over $1 million. People can't afford that. What's Katie Wilson, who's never had a house, who's never really had a job, who hasn't had a career, who's never owned a business, who hasn't really done much of anything but apparently have a baby? What's she going to do to create affordability in a city like Seattle? Nothing. She's going to make it worse. She's going to make it worse. So get out the popcorn. I think it's going to be wild. Wilson and Mandami are running on platforms that include more affordable transit. Nobody cares. More progressive taxes. That'll end up costing the city. Businesses will leave. Stronger renter protections, which telegraphs to developers, hey, don't build here, restricting your supply, increasing your rents. Not that hard to figure out. I just explained that to you in what? 10 seconds, 5 seconds? And universal affordable childcare. Okay, of all the issues in Seattle, universal affordable childcare, it's not going to make or break anything, right? It's just not. I understand it's a big issue, especially for people with kids. But in these big blue cities, people with kids oftentimes can't afford it. So live in the big city or don't, but don't expect to, the world doesn't owe you anything. They don't owe you that you can live here. They don't owe you that you can afford to be here. That's just reality. That's the reality that these kids need a smack in the butt with. And they're going to get it, just not the way they think they are. Because when she wins, it's going to be, Wilson said she's fine with being called a Democrat, a socialist, or both, but notes she's not affiliated with the Seattle chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah, whatever. Okay, you're splitting hairs at that point. That's what she is. That's what she is. All right. So it keeps going. In Seattle as in New York. This is the New York Times. Mayoral race turns on generational change. Really does. I wanted to skip through. This is the funny part. Both finalists are Democrats, Bruce Harrell, Katie Wilson. But polling indicates that millennial and Gen Z voters in Seattle and beyond appear to be rethinking and reimagining what it means to be qualified for the job of running a major American city. Yes, they are rethinking and reimagining, but they themselves don't have the ability to discern who would be a good job candidate because their head is up their ass. It really is. That's how you get in a position where you think that somebody who's never had a job for more than a year, and the job she has had, like construction, law office, like a bakery or some other damn thing, and her parents are sending her money at age 43 because she can't afford to live in Seattle on her own. So let's go ahead, and she can't run her own life finances. So let's have her run a city with $9 billion budget. Should work out fine. Get out the popcorn, folks. It's going to be great. God, I hope she wins. I hope she wins. I'm kind of an elder millennial, Miss Wilson said, so I'm part of this generation that at some point realized that we were on the whole less well off than our parents and probably always will be. All right, so you're a victim. Instead of getting out and hustling and being better than your parents, doing better than your parents based on effort, based on drive, based on taking advantage of opportunities, let's just take some money from our parents and we'll just, we should all be able to have work-life balance. No, F work-life balance. That's not how this works. You get rewarded for the effort you put in. My Tony Robbins story is that I'm done there, right? Miss Wilson's housing-heavy platform and social media savvy campaign are reminiscent of the approach that Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat nominee in the New York mayor race, is taking. She has leaned into the parallels, offering Seattleites her own version of 21st century socialism, albeit granola flavored and goodwill dressed. I don't have however you want to dress. I don't really care. But what's your platform? Based on what? What's your ideology? Based on what? You've seen this work before? Where? You've seen socialism work? Give me an example. Where is that? Principles? You're going to push out business. Do you realize how much Seattle depends upon business tax revenue to run the city? No, clearly they don't, because if you're looking at progressive revenue, which is just taxing big business and wealthy people, and that is what socialism does, right? It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Ms. Wilson has never held elective office. The fact that many Seattle voters appear to be flocking to her speaks to the distance they have traveled since the troubles of 2020, when part of Ms. Wilson's neighborhood, Capitol Hill, was declared by protesters to be a communal living autonomous zone. I want to see her win. I really want to see her win so that we can definitively say, do you remember that whole Katie Wilson thing? Good Lord. Whew. Glad we're past that. That was painful. You remember that time she did, every single one of those is going to be a podcast. In his first term, President Trump threatened Democrats in the city and state, take back your city now. If you don't do it, I will. And that's what you've got going on. You got a bunch of libtards down in Oregon saying, hey, everything's great. It's all good. It's all fine. Nothing to see here. And, but we can see the video. We see the video of when things aren't fine, and it's on the regular. There's been how many arrests since June of 2025 at the federal building down in Portland? How many arrests? Yeah. This is only going to get better, folks. This is truly only going to get better. So Miss Wilson has stints in construction, boat maintenance. Oh, maybe I should hire her to work on my boat. Hey, can you help me out with the after cooler? Can you get down in there in that engine room and help me out pull that, 80-pound after cooler off, whatever it weighs? Those damn things are heavy. And busking with a guitar and harmonica at Pike Place Market. All right. So our future mayor gets money from her parents and has on her job resume busking with a guitar and harmonica at Pike Place Market before taking over a city with a $9 billion budget. This should be fine. I don't get what the upset factor is. This should be fine. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't. You know what? Let's just have her become governor. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a little too far, right? That's a little too far. So the fact that she's in this race as well as she is just astounding. But that is the ridiculousness of the political leanings here in Washington State, and specifically in Western Washington in Seattle. People are delusional. They're deranged. They are literally not based in reality. And that's how we get somebody like this so far, who wants to just tax the F out of the rich and corporations. That's how somebody like this, with zero experience about anything other than taking money from her parents and having a baby. I'm not dissing moms out there, but that's literally some of the only experience she has is getting impregnated and then, pushing out a baby. That doesn't exactly make you mayor candidate, right? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. It's a different part of life. But the experience we need is somebody that has a background in business, that understands, cash flow, that understands taxation. And I'm not saying Bruce Harrell, the current mayor, is a genius at that, but he certainly has a better handle on the reality of what it takes to run a big city than our, Miss Wilson wannabe Democratic Socialist of America. Astounding. But you know what? I think this is one of those things where we got to experience it to kind of see for ourselves. Seattle, these kids in Seattle, they need to understand just what an ass whipping they're going to get from reality when you hire somebody like this, because it's not going to go well. It is not going to go well. We see it on the daily in other cities. We see it in Portland. A lot of folks currently say, hey, at least Seattle isn't as bad off as Portland is. And being that I was just down there a few weekends ago, I'd have to agree. But are we going to try and level that up with this next election for mayor? I think so. I think we are. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, because we're going to have a lot to talk about. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.